Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming to practice and doing it. And thank you for your Just Do It talk. Um, our School of Zen is very interesting because it emphasizes this just do it. So, one way that becomes very clear is the notion of faith in Buddhism and in Zen. So, usually say there's three basic ingredients in practicing Zen. One is this great doubt. So that's the great question of life and death that the Buddha had. And then there's great faith. And then there is this try mind, which is just do it. But actually, all three of these are the same. They're all based on just do it. So usually, as Western people, Chinese, mostly I live around Chinese people, but they don't so much have this notion of faith as belief. But Zen isn't based on belief, it's based on experience. So this experience is another way of saying just do it. So Zen Master Sung is very clever. How do you explain this to Western people? And he always said that faith is like a chicken sitting on an egg. So usually a chicken doesn't sit on just one egg, it sits on many eggs. So you might, so when the chicken sits, it just sits there, right? And if you've ever been around hens, when they're actually sitting on those eggs, they're very focused. So even if a fox comes in the chicken coop, they are not going to get up. They might growl a little bit, right? But they're not going to get up just because a fox is running around the chicken coop. So Zen Master Sung used that to explain what faith mind is. Of course, it's also just do it mind, right? They're the same. So, and also great doubt is a just do it mind, because to answer the question, it's not about thinking, it's about experiencing something. So what we might call have this experience, you have to just do it. So they all mean just do it. So coming to practice, that's why I thanked you all for coming to practice, because this is just a do it, right? It's not very interesting. I mean, you can look after you count that, there's 35 people on the screen. And there's Ed Kanda. Hello, Ed. So after you, I think it's pretty boring after a while, like we said, I don't know, for 30 some minutes this morning. So that gets pretty boring after a while, right? And nobody's doing anything. You're just sitting there, right? So then you just have to switch over into your just do it mind, because it's not very exciting. As Zen Master Sung always said, this the biggest hindrance of doing practice is boredom. So if you think, I don't think chickens think this way, but if you if you put yourself in the place of a chicken, sitting on eggs for 21 days would probably not be your top pick in things to do that are interesting, right? You'd rather go to the Lawrence Beer Company or something for dinner than sit on eggs for 21 days. So he always said that this was like the biggest hindrance for practicing. If you think about the Buddha metaphorically sitting underneath the tree for 6 years, or actually sitting underneath the tree for a shorter period of time, that's not so interesting, because if you sit underneath a tree for a while, you'll notice that that's not so interesting. But this lack of interest is actually pointing towards something, and that's the direct experience of what you're truly like. So usually we're always diverting ourselves somehow. We are trying to entertain ourselves, keep things interesting. So one of the downsides of this lockdown around coronavirus 19 is it's boring, except it's not boring the way a retreat is. It's just plain old boring. It doesn't have much direction. And you're bored because you're not entertained. While if you're practicing Zen, like you're doing a 100-day solo retreat or a 90-day retreat or you just finished the 24-hour international retreat online in the Quantum School of Zen. That kind of boredom has a reason, so it's a little more endurable to endure. So that's the big meaning behind Zen and Zen practicing and everything we teach is just do it. So you can resolve this big question about what we really are. Then the answer will appear by itself. You actually don't have to do anything except sit there on the eggs and boom, out jumps the chick and cheek, cheek, cheek. That's it. So that's why Buddhism and Zen are not based on, it's not an intellectual exercise because the great questions before thinking, right? So it doesn't, reading about it is not good or bad. Studying is not good or bad. Talking to other people about it is not good or bad. But the real goods is in this direct experience of your true self, which the Buddha had when he saw the morning star, and which every chicken has when the chicks come out of the egg, of course. So thank you for just doing it. So are there any questions this morning? Any kind of questions? Okay. You can just do it. Just ask a question. Or if you're Chinese, you know that I love this just do it thing because if you're Chinese, you know that this phrase is a translation of the and Mandarin Chinese is Wu Wei. So Wu Wei means, if I can philosophically interpret it for just a second, it means action without any attachment to the result. So usually when you're doing something, you're attached to the result. Oh, did it work out? Was I successful? Am I a good person? Blah, 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 blah. It goes on forever. But Wu Wei means it's a term that's borrowed from Taoism. And it means action without any attachment to the result. So just do it is the way that Zen Master Sung Sung translated that concept of Zen into English. Too bad he didn't copyright it because those Nike shoehead people stole it. But if you think about just do it, actually we teach the form is empty, emptiness is form, so there's no it. So you could just shorten it up a little bit to just do. And you don't need just because there's no time, right? There's no past, there's no future, and there's actually just now went by. So you could take away the just part, and then you're left with do. So if I was going to change the name of Zen to something else, I'd change it to do. So we're actually members of doism. I love doism because doism is actually our life. Thinkism kind of leads to an existential headache, as you probably all noticed. So if you can just leave thinkism behind for a while and return to doism, that's it, moment to moment to moment to moment. And that's what we call your life. But as you probably already know, there's no life, no death, no blah, 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 and there's no you. So if you take all those away, you just end up with do. Okay, does that make any sense? Well, you can experience all the time, and you do experience, except then you start attaching to it. Any questions now?
Yes, I have a question.
Good.
So this doism, can you talk a little bit about how that's different from the cultural doism, which is distraction?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one involves desire. You want to be entertained. You don't want to be bored. So it involves some form of I, my, me. I am bored. I don't want to go teach in a class face to face with the students. I don't like Zoom. I only like bowing. I don't like chanting. So it all has that kind of do, which we call small do. Then there's big do do. And big do do is means you just do it and you do it to help the world. So it has direction to it, right? So the important thing is the direction. So if you sit in a room for 100 days with nothing going on and you're doing a retreat, then you're going to get bored as hell. However, that boredom is big boredom, right? So we always distinguish big from small. So big means to help the world. Small means I don't like it, or I do like it, or even I just feel neutral about it. So that's big do. Big do is to help the world. Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
So this morning I was looking at the paper on the computer, and I had my slippers on, and right next to my foot, this really nasty thing was crawling. And so without thinking, I just smashed it.
Right, right.
And then after I smashed it, I mean, that was without thinking, because, I just hate those things. So, but then afterwards I thought, well, I just killed this sentient being. That
Right.
was good. But so how does, sometimes I find that I will do something just instinctively, I guess is kind of the word I guess I can use. And I just do it. And then later I feel bad about it because I realized that it might not have been a good thing, but I didn't think about it first. So talk about that. I did just do it.
Yeah, so like in any words in any language, they apply to something, and that thing isn't what the words are not what it is, right? So everybody knows. I always use the word banana. So a banana, the word banana is not a banana, right? So when we're talking about that kind of action, like you just mentioned, like a mosquito lands on my head, then I go, and I think, oh God, I just killed a mosquito, right? Or if I just bite into a piece of pizza, so maybe most of the people here have probably experienced, you're sitting there watching TV, you're watching the latest series on YouTube or something, and you're eating a pizza, and then you look down and the pizza is gone because you've been paying attention to what's on the TV screen, right? So were you just eating the pizza? Were you just watching the TV? Were you just wearing your slippers? Were you just sitting on the couch? So those words are all just ways to describe something that actually cannot be described. So when you reflect on it, you think, well, I was asleep during that whole, Dae Kwang was giving a talk. It was so boring, I fell asleep. Or somebody else is saying, oh God, that was so interesting. I was wide awake. But it really didn't make any difference because you still have this back behind of all this stuff is this great question. So yeah, when you stepped on that thing, you killed it, right? And then did you have oatmeal for breakfast this morning? How many oatmeal babies did you kill while you were eating that breakfast, right? So everything is connected to everything else. The only question is, are you aware or are you not aware? But this awareness, it means you become one. So becoming one with everything, which you are all the time, it's just that sometimes you're aware of it and sometimes you aren't. So yeah, that's a way of talking about something. And then you became aware of it. Then what are you going to do? Let your house be taken over by cockroaches and then your children all get sick because they're bringing disease in, blah, blah, blah. And you can catch all the cockroaches maybe and put them outside. That's probably an okay thing. But then you have to eat, right? So how are you going to avoid killing things if you're going to eat? You know, like we emphasize vegetarianism, but what about all those plants? What about all those mushrooms? What about all those, we're intimately, it's called Indra's net, we're intimately connected with everything all the time. It's just that we think that we're separate. So actually, you thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't have stepped on that horrible thing, whatever it is an indication you became aware that you're connected to everything else. Well, that's us. We're connectedness, and we think that we're separateness. Right? So Zen means to become one. So actually, you became one with that thing when that thought appeared in your mind. It was a kind of an awareness appearing, right? Which is good. It's good to be aware. Right? That's why we thank the Lord Buddha before we eat food, because hello, that involved killing a lot of things when you eat that food, whether it's animals, plants, even if you eat snakes, you have eaten something else and you get energy from that. So the most important thing is a clear direction when you use the energy that you get from killing things. Okay, so that's what we call bodhisattva direction. That's also just do it. Many ways of talking about this. Blah, 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 blah. Okay.
I have a comment and question. Jennifer's talk has had me thinking for the last few days, the last few minutes. What does it mean to just do your best? The more I think about it, I don't know what it means.
Uh-huh. I don't know either.
Okay. All right.
Because best is a judgment, right? You're judging bad and good. So that's opposites thinking. But just do it doesn't have that. And just thinking, did I do my best, also doesn't have it. Because just thinking, did I do my best, is also just do it. Then you think, oh, wait, I shouldn't be judging myself. Then that's the problem. Now, if you're just thinking, just think. It's not good or bad, but we're very attached to it. So if you're a good Buddhist, you might or a good Zenist, you might sit there and think, oh God, I shouldn't be thinking about whether I did my best or not, blah, 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 right? But that's just thinking. And that's not good or bad, just don't attach to it. So it's all about letting go so you can become one, so you can express your original Buddha nature moment to moment in your life. And that's it.
Thank you.
I always think a lot of people say Zen is hard. And it is hard. And the reason it's hard is because it's so easy. So no matter how you think about it, it's wrong, but that wrong is actually right. So it's all about attachment and non-attachment. But taking away attachment and non-attachment leaves you with your big job, which is love and compassion for all beings. Even the cockroaches you stepped on. Right? Well, that's enough blah, 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 blah. Thank you all for coming and practicing. That's just do it, right? It's not special, but it is just do it. So there's nothing special in Buddhism, just do it. Okay, thank you.